All right, why don't I begin
Thank
again?
you.
Was that initial vote recorded, Cassidy?
No, I had paused it when I started, so if we could do that.
Sure. Let me just sort of start. Oh,
Actually,
Martha's
yeah.
about to join.
Yep.
Awesome. Even better. Okay. It is Wednesday, June 4th, and this is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Public Safety and Transportation Committee. At the start of the meeting, I'm joined by Councilors Block, Lucas, and Bixby. And the first item before us is 171-25, the appropriation and transfer of $4,510,000 for the Newton Patrol Association collective bargaining agreement. I suppose I was expecting Miss Lemieux. Do we know who we're going to hear from tonight?
Could I just ask a question first? Maybe I'm looking at the wrong document. I'm looking at an appropriation of 6,462,500. Was that changed? Was that modified?
I'm looking at what's called a revised agenda.
Oh, all right.
Miss Flynn, do you
I don't
want
have
to
revised on this.
weigh in? Am I looking at the wrong thing?
Yes. No, Councilor Grossman, you're correct. We had revised the agenda because initially this was docketed as one item, but in consultation with the comptroller, they decided that the 1,000,000, I believe $900,000 should be separated out because of I think it was because of the fiscal year, but I bet Comptroller Curley will get into that during the finance.
Okay, but the attachments are the same. Well, I
Yes,
guess.
we did not receive a new document from the administration. We had
Okay.
asked for one, but we didn't receive a new one.
Fine. I see the breakdown. Okay. I'm fine with this. Yeah.
Do we have someone present to present this? All right. Well, I'm now going to text Miss Lemieux and Mr. Yo and see if we can get somebody to speak to it. Miss Flynn, I've actually never had this situation before. This is just a night of interesting conundrums. Would this be a motion to lay it on the table so that if one of them joins us, we can take it up and move on to other items? I don't want to just hold it in case one of them is able to join.
Yes, we can do that. I don't want to put him on the spot, but Assistant Chief Dallin just unmuted, so he may have a comment to make on this item.
Assistant Chief, would you like to?
Good evening. Yeah, I'm kind of new to this, so bear with me, but I don't have any of the math numbers. I kind of got tossed in this last minute, but this was a arbitrated decision. The patrolmen they're in their fourth year now, but they had 3 years prior to this without a contract. They went all the way to the JLMC, and this was the financial reward to the Newton Police Association.
Thank you very much. And that is perfectly consistent with my understanding of the situation. And as we've talked about in other contexts, I think just the problem that we're having is without, Miss Lemieux or Mr. Yo able to be here and answer questions for a sum of $4.5 million. I think we just need to try to get one of them on the screen. So how about, does it work if I make a motion to lay it on the table?
Yes.
Miss Flynn? Okay, I texted Maureen and Jonathan. We'll see if someone comes. Motion to lay it on the table. Any discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor of laying it on the table, which my understanding is then we'll be able to pick it back up after we take up a few other items. Please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we'll come back to that as soon as we get somebody here to talk about it. And thank you very much, Assistant Chief. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure we will handle it in short order. I just want to make sure we do it properly, given the
No problem. I'm here all night.
magnitude. Yeah, thank you. Okay. 180 oh, nope, that's going to be similar, isn't it? So let's not do that. 157-25, 2 bus license renewals for the 128 Business Council. This is Transaction Corporate Shuttles requesting triennial renewal of the 2 Needham shuttle bus licenses currently being operated by the 128 Business Council. No changes proposed from 2022. Ms. Sinella, am I saying that right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. I know we've seen you in the committee in years past. Thank you for coming
Yep.
and
No, thank
would
you
love
for
to
having
hear.
us. We're going on almost 20 years now, so it's been a good ride and we appreciate working inside of your city.
And is it Officer Schlegel? Is that how you say your name?
Yeah, it's Sergeant Schlegel.
Sergeant Schlegel, I'm sorry.
okay.
Sergeant, welcome. Are you the one conducting these
The inspections, yes.
inspections at this point? So let me turn it to you. Any comments that you would like to share on this particular application?
Sure. 2 vehicles were submitted for inspection and both passed.
Okay. Ms. Sinella, anything you want to add?
No, there's no changes to a license that we've been operating for quite some time.
Okay, counselors, any questions or comments?
Well, since this is new for me, this is my first time, just briefly explain the shuttle service.
Absolutely. We're running 2 shuttles, getting employees from the Newton Highlands to their buildings, like Shark Ninja, NBC. So in keeping people out of their own vehicles, they're taking public transportation over to Newton Highlands. And Transaction has 2 shuttles running every 30 minutes in the morning, getting people to work, and in the afternoon at 2:30 in the afternoon until 7 o'clock at night, we're returning them back to Newton Highlands.
And what's the utilization of your shuttles roughly?
Okay, so we originally started out with 1 shuttle and it's been so successful, a 2nd shuttle has been added. The occupancy is, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I would say it's more than half full.
Just roughly, what's the capacity of a shuttle?
There are 32 passenger vehicles.
Okay, great. Then I guess that's enough for now. It sounds, are you satisfied with the utilization?
We want to put a 3rd and a 4th vehicle on. We like to keep single occupancy vehicles off the road.
Sure, but you have 2 now operating every 30 minutes.
Mhm.
And I guess at peak time, they're 50% utilized and probably at other times less so. Is that sort of fair?
Later in the morning and later in the evening, we're seeing where people go into work later and come home earlier. Yes.
Okay. Just curious how, I mean, in part, I'm just curious how successful you think that is. We would all like people to leave their cars and get to work in other ways. Just curious whether this meets your expectations. This is, or not, or are you, do you have strategies for increasing, utilization of the shuttles?
So we run the shuttles for the 128 Business Council, and they are
Mhm.
constantly doing on-site marketing to get it utilized. We operate vehicles that are much smaller. We operate 13 passengers. So we're very successful and very happy with the growth of the project.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments or questions from counselors? Seeing none, is there a motion on this item?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Counselor Block. Any other discussion before we vote? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that is 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank
We
you.
are going to go.
We
Abs-
appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you. By the way, counselors, I did get word that Mr. Rosenfield is going to join us for the contract item, so we'll be able to pick that back up once we get through the licenses. 158-25, 2 bus license renewals for the Boston College bus. We've been joined by Ms. Levesque. Welcome. Thank you. Mr. Stearns, this is you as well?
Yes.
Okay, and Sergeant Schlegel, if you want to tell us about your inspection of these vehicles, please.
These vehicles, there were 16 vehicles submitted. They're all in compliance with the ordinance. The route was also sent to me from Boston College, and it doesn't look like any changes have been made to that route from previous years.
Hey, Ms. Levesque, it looked like you wanted to add something.
Just would like, oh, now we're unmuted. Yes, they also have, and I'll let Gabe introduce himself. He's also with our team. Gabe, go ahead, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Gabe Parker, Director of Parking and Transportation here at Boston College. And similar to Becky, I have a little distraction in the background. Unlike Paw Patrol, I have two wrestling huskies in the background. So if you hear any howling, everything's fine here.
So we could have just met up and then we could have had real dogs as the entertainment instead of cartoon ones.
Yeah, the bigger husky kind of looks like a shepherd, so he could look like the lead for Paw Patrol a little bit.
But you know, they're both triple eagles.
Do we have comments or questions for Sergeant Schlegel or the Boston College team?
Well, again, I'm just curious if we could just get a general explanation of the route, utilization, those sorts of things.
Absolutely, Council. Oh, sorry, Gene.
No, I was going to
Want me
say,
to go?
Gabe, I'm going to toss it over to you. Yeah.
Okay. Councilor Block, the main purpose for the Newton shuttle is getting students from our freshman students who are on our Newton Law School campus on Center Street to our Chestnut Hill campus. Our overall ridership is just under 1 million passengers a year, about half of which is due to the Newton route. As you may or may not know, our undergraduates do not traditionally get vehicles at Boston College unless there's some kind of a medical exception or something like that. So all of our Newton students need to be shuttled to and from the campus every day. And then we also, on weekends, we offer a grocery shuttle so the students can go shopping. We're getting more and more students that have kind of unique dietary needs, so things like that. And then for the law school, we have an express route on weekdays in the mornings and afternoons that runs from the Chestnut Hill Reservoir T-stop to the law school campus and back.
Okay, and just roughly utilization? Just how packed are these buses?
Oh, the
peak time?
law school ones are quite packed. We are efficient with those. So I would say our buses can accommodate up to 57, which includes standing room. And most of those are going to be pretty much full. So it's those are definitely efficient buses.
Okay.
Gabe, can you also talk about the system that students have on their phone so they kind of know when the buses are there and all that? Like
Absolutely, Gene.
Big
We have
advancement since I was there in 1979.
Yeah, sometimes I wish they were a little more advanced, but we have a system called Translock, and it's an app where the students can look on their phone and see when the shuttle is coming. You know, sometimes there's a little bit of outages because sometimes at our Center Street location, I look down and I have 1 bar of service, where I was in New Orleans last weekend in a bayou on a tour and I had full 5G. So I don't exactly understand how that works, but it does the best it can. We've looked at some other options too, including the vendor that the MBTA uses. But as of now, we're pretty happy with Translock, and it's the one that our outside shuttle vendor, Boston Coach, is most comfortable with. So it gives them real-time tracking that shows when the shuttles are going to arrive, and it helps us with the efficiency, cuts down on passenger frustration.
Great. Thank you both very much.
Any other comments or questions on this item? Do we have a motion?
Well, I'll move to approve.
Okay, motion to approve by Counselor Block. Any other discussion before
Chair,
we?
someone raised their hand.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. The notification that the meeting is being recorded is covering your hand. I'm sorry. Ms. Sinella.
It's okay. It's probably unorthodox, but I just wanted to make a recommendation. Transaction was with Translock, and we've switched over to TripShot, and it's a much better service if you want to check into that. It's TripShot.
TripShot, okay. TripShot, SHOT?
You got it.
Oh, thank you very much for that.
You bet.
Yeah, we're always looking for alternate possibilities. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, excellent. Any other discussion before we vote on Counselor Block's motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, I think are we up to 5 now? Yes, 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. Have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
You as well. Nice to see you.
You too.
We're going to go on to 159-25, 4 bus license renewals for VPNE Parking Solutions, requesting triennial renewal of the 4 bus licenses for VPNE Parking Solutions. No changes proposed from 2022. Sergeant Schlegel, want to tell us about this one?
Yes, so VPNE submitted 3 24-passenger buses and also 1 14-passenger bus. They are in compliance, all those buses. These are shuttles. I believe they go from Chestnut Hill into, I think they service the hospital down off of Boylston Street in Boston.
Down to
Okay.
the
Yeah.
MGH partners,
Yeah,
or I'm
Yep.
sorry, more to the Brigham campus, right?
correct. Yep, they're
Oh,
in
is
compliance.
that- Okay, well, I see. Brian needs to unmute. Cassidy?
I made him a co-host. He can unmute.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. So, sorry. That was my makeshift sign.
Sure.
Um,
Can you just introduce yourself?
Thank you.
and-
Yes,
Sure.
sure. I'm a senior director with VPNE Parking Solutions, and we oversee the valet and parking needs for Dana-Farber's campuses, both at Chestnut Hill and main campus in Boston in the Longwood area. We also run their shuttle system between their Chestnut Hill location at 300 Boylston on Route 9 and main campus at 44 Binney Street in Longwood. So it's an employee and patient shuttle system. It does get fairly consistent usage. We have over 500 riders per week for the system that goes between main campus and the Chestnut Hill campus, which is the 3 24-passenger buses. They do loops from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. Then we have the 1 14-passenger shuttle that goes from the Chestnut Hill Green Line stop over to the Chestnut Hill Dana-Farber Center at 300 Boylston. That gets roughly 75 riders per week. So we want it to be available to patients and employees alike. I know the hospital is constantly trying to drum up ridership for it, and actually we've seen an increase this year in the longer route, the one from main campus Longwood to the Chestnut Hill Dana-Farber location.
Has
I
it
can
always
answer any other
been-
info
yeah,
too.
has it always been open to patients, or is that a newer development?
No, it doesn't get a lot of patient draw, but we will take a patient. Yes.
Huh. Okay. I don't remember that from years past, but that's great to know. I think that's actually a really wonderful benefit if people knew about it and could avoid
'Cause,
having a
yeah,
park in there.
some people have, some people have an appointment at both locations and they try to line it up on the same day. So rather than throwing another car on the street, they can go back and forth on the shuttle and park in only one of the locations.
And are you still renting parking spaces from the Chestnut Hill Mall?
No, Dana-Farber's
That's-
is not. Brigham and Women's is. And I know Faulkner Hospital has stopped as well. Frank, you
Yeah,
and I worked a
I
little bit on
see.
the Faulkner.
right. So
Got
we'll
it.
be,
Okay.
the Brigham and Women's shuttle and the Mass General Faulkner shuttles are on different schedules than these. So we'll be back. Those
I
two
see.
applicants, clients of mine, will be before you in the fall.
Got it.
But they're the
This-
ones
They're
that do,
separate operations and are they run by separate companies?
um, Well, they're separate shuttles. One is for the Brigham and one is for Mass General Faulkner.
But aren't they
Um,
both through VPNE?
They may be,
Or
I
no?
don't recall.
So the,
Okay,
the shuttle service that stopped on December 31st between Faulkner Hospital and Chestnut Hill Mall, that was us, VPNE, but that has ended. Because at Faulkner Hospital, they reclaimed their on-site garage with a brand new garage, so we didn't need to outsource employee parking on a shuttle system. That was VPNE. The others, I believe, are MGB based.
I see. Okay, forgive my confusion. Thank you.
No, it's confusing.
Do we have comments or questions from committee members? Counselor Lucas.
Thank you, Chair. Quick question for Mr. Stearns or Brian M. Sorry, I didn't get your last name. Can anyone use these shuttle buses, or is it just employees and patients? I'm asking about Newton residents.
We do currently limit it to employees and patients for volume concerns. We'd be happy to open it up to a more public service. It would just require more capacity
Okay.
and data. You know, that would be a different animal, so to speak.
Okay. All right. Thanks. I might circle back in the future, but thanks for letting me know. All set.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Do we have a motion on this item?
Move to approve.
Okay, motion to approve by Counselor Lucas. Any other discussion before we vote? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That is 5-0. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank
we
you all
are-
very much. Appreciate it.
Have a good evening. Thanks for coming to the meeting. That's
you.
all okay, so we've got one more 78-25, which is the semi-annual public auto inspections. Sergeant Schlegel, let me turn it over to you for this one.
Sure, these are the private livery companies that operate out of the city of Newton. We had 10 companies that were put in for inspection this year. We had 7 of them pass. They were Limo Class Incorporated, American Truck and Equipment Sales, Boston Cool Ride Limo, Dawn's Car Service, MHS Worldwide LLC, OmSci Enterprises, Valley Brothers Transportation LLC, and AB Incorporated. There was one vehicle for each of those companies. We did have 2 that ended up not renewing, actually 3, I should say. One was Ismo Limo LLC. They did not renew. Sateo Trading LLC. They did not renew. And Valley Brothers Transportation, the vehicle that they had submitted, they ended up selling it. So they're not going to be utilizing the service. And that concludes our inspection.
Okay, thank you. Do we have comments or questions on these?
Do we
Counselor Block?
charge a fee for these auto inspections?
The inspection that my office does, we do not
Mhm.
charge a fee for. That might be included with the fee that's paid to the city clerk's office. I don't know if there's someone from the city clerk's office that could comment on that.
Ms. Flynn, do you know the answer to that?
I don't, but I could get it back. I could get an answer for you tomorrow. I just would want to talk to Miss Delaney, who usually handles this part. So let me talk to her tomorrow and I can send you an email.
Sure. Thanks very much.
Any other comments or questions on these from members of the committee? Okay, seeing none, can I have a motion, please?
I'll move to approve.
Motion to approve by Counselor Block. Any discussion before we vote? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that's 5-0. Sergeant, thank you very much. Does that conclude everything that you have before us tonight?
It does.
Excellent. Really appreciate it. Thank you. You're of course welcome to hang around for the contract discussion if you want, but please don't.
Thank you.
Feel
Nice
free.
meeting you all.
Thank you. You too. So we have two items. Well, one we need to pick back up from the table and one I didn't put before us. So let's go back here to the beginning. And Mr. Rosenfield, you're there, right?
Yes, I
Yeah.
am. Thank you. I
Thank
do
you.
apologize for being tardy.
No, thank you for jumping in here. We really appreciate it. It sounds like that was not on your plan for the night.
I will
And
do my best to speak on this item.
was that wasn't better coordinated, but I'm sure you're intimately familiar with these items.
Yes.
Would you recommend, do you want to discuss the two of them together or separately? 171-25 and 180-25. So the first one is the appropriation and transfer of $4,510,000 for the Newton Patrol Association collective bargaining agreement. And then the second item, 180-25, is the transfer of $1,952,500 for the Newton Patrol Association collective bargaining agreement.
I think we can speak on both those items together. They are part of the same settlement
I figured.
decision.
Okay, great. So those are, oh, Ms. Flynn, do I need a motion to bring it back?
No, you can, you just read it back into the record, so.
Great. All right, Mr. Rosenfield, would you mind sharing an overview of this process and where we're at?
Yes, thank you very much. So we, earlier this year, we entered into a JLMC panel with the Newton Patrol Association regarding the fiscal year 2022 through 2024 contract. We recently received a decision on that panel. The full decision is part of the mayor's docket letter as well as attached as backup. And we are looking to, as the docket items say, transfer some money both from free cash as well as from the current year wage reserves to settle FY25, which essentially covers the monies owed for fiscal years 22, 23, 24, and then 2025, the current year. And then the separate piece is fiscal year 26, because now that we are working off of essentially fiscal year 24 salaries, it was not something that we had put into the budget, the FY26 budget. So we do need to move some additional money to allow us to pay in fiscal year 26 at that higher salary amount.
Which I know is standard practice from other times that we've had catch-up agreements. So can you just clarify for me, because I'm a little confused. So at this point, we are covered through what period of time?
We are covered through June 30th of 2024.
And what is the status of negotiations about 25 and beyond for
We
next contract?
we have not gone back to the table yet to discuss the 2025 through 2027 contract. However, that is one of the unions that we will be going back to the table with to pursue that contract.
So, okay, you said through June 2024.
Correct. So through the end of fiscal year 2024.
Got it. And we just are, and we're about to enter fiscal year 26.
That is correct.
So we'll be a full year behind as soon as
Correct.
we start. Okay.
Correct.
Imminently. looking at my oven clock to tell me exactly what the date is. So, okay. All right. And then can you also remind us, and I know we talked about this a little bit in the budget process with the NPSOA.
Yes.
where we're at.
So we are settled through the same time frame for the NPSOA through the end of fiscal year 2024.
Okay.
So I would assume that both unions will be back at table with both unions, I assume fairly soon.
We're not at the table now with the NPSOA? Thought we were for some reason.
Excuse me, I may have misspoke. Yes, we are at the table with them. They are working closely with us as well as Human Resources, I believe Michelle P.Z. O'Brien is working closely with their leadership to figure out the next time to meet with them.
I see. Okay. Do we have other questions or comments from members of the committee? Okay, I don't see any, obviously. Oh, Counselor Lucas and then Counselor Block.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Rosenfield, did I hear you say you need to transfer money to FY26?
Correct, because when we put the budget together earlier this calendar year, we had not yet received the decision from JLMC. So we built the fiscal year 26 budget using at the time what was the fiscal year 21 NPA salary tables.
Okay, this is that the backup that I'm looking at says you're transferring to FY25.
That I believe was a typo.
Services.
That I believe was a typo. That if you're looking for at the third from and to on the sheet, that should have been fiscal year 26 to fiscal year 26. And that I believe was also split out. So we have the fiscal year 25 as its own item, which was the first item. And then the fiscal year 26 now is a separate item.
Okay, could you send a revised letter
Yes.
so we can go into the report so that when this gets reported out at the next full council on the 16th, I think it's the 16th, so that we'll have this in the Friday packet for next week. Is that possible?
We can certainly do that.
Okay, thanks. That was my only question, really. But I'm glad the collective bargaining agreement process is over for now. So, but thank you.
Counselor Block?
I'm looking at the budget, the police department budget that we approved for fiscal year 2026, 27,746,333. So will that number increase by the 1,952,500? Is that what we're
So-
doing?
The budget that we built was based on the fiscal year 21 table. So the $1,952, $1,952,500. It's not going to be a direct one-to-one. So the expense at the end of fiscal year 26 will not necessarily be exactly $1.9 million higher than what we budgeted it at. However, to ensure that there are sufficient funds in that department for all of the positions, all of the FTEs under MPA, is why we are asking for that 1.9 million to be moved over.
Will you be amending the budget that we approved
No, at
2
this
weeks
point,
ago?
the budget itself has been approved as it was proposed. So
Mhm.
we will not be amending the budget. However, once fiscal year 26 is complete, the actual expense will reflect essentially what we expected for using the 21 numbers, and then what actually ends up getting paid now that the police officers are at this higher salary, if that makes sense.
It does. However, I mean, it's just customary to compare a budgeted amount with the actual amount at some point in time.
So
But the budgeted amount in this document that I've got on my lap here, this large tome here, doesn't include this expense. As you said, it's based on the FY21.
correct, and if I may add, the dollars are within the overall city operating budget, just these were dollars that at the time we presented the budget, we had placed into the comptroller's wage reserve account that we are now requesting to be transferred to the police department. So because the original budget as the mayor proposed is what's approved as the original budget. When we print the budget, or when we put together the budget for fiscal year 27 next year, we will essentially be submitting the proposed budget for 27, comparing that to the original budget of 26, and then actuals for 25. The next year is when really those actuals would be reflected for 26, because at that point there would have been a full 12 months of data to compare apples to apples.
So, okay, you've sent me to the comptroller's budget. The reserve fund line, is that the amount that's being affected by this?
The comptroller's wage reserve, that is correct. That is what's where we are
Okay, well,
asking funds to be transferred.
it says reserve funds. I'm assuming that's what you mean. So that proposed 2026 amount was 5,125,000.
Yes, so this 1.952 million is included in that number. And then there are also other unions that we are still at the table with, such as the NPSOA, the Teamsters. There are other unions that we don't have up-to-date contracts on. So that is why that comptroller number is larger than what we are requesting here.
Okay. So, are there enough funds in the wage reserve fund to cover the rest of these?
We believe that there
funds?
is, yes,
Okay, we'll hold you to that,
of course.
of course. Okay. Thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you.
Do we have other comments or questions for Mr. Rosenfield? Okay, seeing no other hands. We need to vote each of these separately. So 171-25, which is the 4.51 million number. Can I have a motion on that item?
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Counselor Lucas. Any further discussion before we vote? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that's 5-0. Then we have 180-25, which is the $1,952,500 number. Motion on that item?
So moved.
Motion to approve by Counselor Lucas. Any further discussion before we vote? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Ms. Flynn, that's everything, right? I know I went out of order, so I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Yes, that is everything.
Excellent. I really appreciate everybody's attendance and assistance tonight. I know it's an incredibly busy time of year, obviously, given the comings and goings of our participants, that's clear. Appreciate you all bearing with me and making this work efficiently tonight. Have a great night. See you all very soon. We're adjourned.